Welcome to Encounter Tribe. My name is Colette. Today is day 83 of our 100 days of fasting fear and saying yes to bold faith. During the days of the 80s, 81 through 89, I am highlighting a character in the Bible who overcame fear to walk out faith. I think it's so powerful to look at the stories of the people in the Bible and acknowledge that they had struggles too, and they were able to overcome them with faith. So today is actually highlighting a woman who we are not given her name at all. She is the bleeding woman that is Mark 5, and the story starts in verse 25. And what I want to do is I actually want to read the scripture to you and then just share a little bit of my thoughts on her stepping out in faith to receive healing. So this is Mark 5:25, and it goes to about 34, verse 34. This is in the Passion Translation. So now, in the crowd that day was a woman who had suffered horribly for continual bleeding for 12 years. She had endured a great deal under the care of various doctors, yet in spite of her spending all that she had on these treatments, she was not getting better, but worse. When she heard about Jesus's healing power, she pushed through the crowd and came up from behind him and touched his prayer shawl. For she kept saying to herself, "If only I could touch his clothes, I know that I will be healed." That is massive faith right there. As soon as her hand touched him, her bleeding immediately stopped. She knew it, for she could feel her body instantly being healed of her disease. So powerful. Jesus knew at once that someone had touched him, for he felt the power that always surges around him had passed through him for someone to be healed. He turned and spoke to the crowd. "Who touched my clothes?" Now, Jesus was in a massive crowd with tons of people on all sides pushing on him. That's why his disciples in verse 31 says, "What do you mean, who touched you? Look at this huge crowd. All those are pressed up against you." But Jesus's eyes kept sweeping the crowd, looking for the one who had touched him for healing. When the woman who experienced the miracle realized what had happened to her, she came before him, trembling with fear, and threw herself down at his feet. "I was the one who touched you." And she told him her story of what had happened. Then Jesus said to her, "Daughter, because you dared to believe, your faith has healed you. Go with peace in your heart and be free from your suffering." That is amazing to me. She exuded courage twice at least. First, she had to press through the crowd. She could have gotten in so much trouble. I know that there is a lot in their culture with a woman who is bleeding and being unclean and being around others. So she took the risk because she had so much faith to believe God, to believe that Jesus was the one who would heal her. And she had to press through the crowd to get to him and reach her hand out. I love that she had to keep thinking, "I just need to get here. I just need to touch his clothes and I'll be healed." And I love that Jesus knew the power went out. He knew that it had released from him. And I love that she had to have the courage, because she didn't know if Jesus was going to be angry with her. She didn't know if he was going to shame her or reprimand her, or that she would get in trouble. And she was willing to come trembling with fear at his feet. She went before him and said it was her. What relief must have happened for her when she heard Jesus lovingly affirm her faith, affirm that her faith healed her. I love that she truly believed in the one. So in this story, I feel like one of the lessons is that sometimes we have to have the courage to reach out to Jesus, to believe him for the impossible, the things in the natural. She went through 12 years of trying to find a solution, and then she hears about the one, and she believes in him and goes to him and receives the healing. So sometimes Jesus is asking us to reach out and believe for who he is in our lives. I hope that you are encouraged to reach out to Jesus in the areas of your life that need his touch, that need him to bring freedom, healing, and all kinds of things. I know that he is always faithful. I don't always understand how circumstances go or how things turn out, but I know that he is always good and he's always faithful. And I encourage you to have bold faith, to reach out and believe for the impossible, for the God that makes all things possible. Blessings, and I hope you'll join me for tomorrow as we hear about another character that has had bold faith and overcame fear. Blessings and good night.